Anytime you beg another man to set you free, you'll never be free. Freedom is something that you have to do for yourself.
Okay, I was going to make a video today about how if we had a digital ID system that worked for us rather than against us, we could use it to cut out the middlemen who don't really do much other than take a piece out of everything, take a piece out of our transactions, and steal our data, trick us into consenting to giving them our data, and really just expanding on the benefits of that system that I was talking about in my last video. But I've seen a concerning number of people now saying that the best way to protect yourself and the way to fight back, the way to resist digital ID is to use cash. And I don't know if these people are genuinely stupid or just deeply ignorant, but a bunch of the people who are saying this are people who I know should know better than to recommend that. I mean, I've been active in banking reform since 2008. And to be perfectly honest, I've been thinking about this digital ID problem for 16 years since I was exposed to that Operation Blackjack slideshow on the London Telegraph website. I mean, I've been thinking about this problem for a long time. Cash is not going to protect anyone from what's coming. You have to understand that only about 5% of the cash, at least in Canadian banking, only about 5% of our currency exists as cash. And if everyone tried to get their money, nope, it's not there. It does not exist. 95% of our currency only exists in a digital form on our bank ledgers.
It's actually simple. Over 95% of our money is created by private banks. That means there's less than 5% of government-created money. Let's look at the differences between creating the money ourselves and borrowing it from private banks. Creating the money ourselves pretty much just costs the labor to print it and the hard work to back it up. While borrowing money from private banks can cost up to 10 times or more than the principal before it's paid. Don't believe me?
I think that the problem isn't necessarily, in my opinion, that we issued that debt through a competitive bond process. The issue is that the level of spending that we engaged in was not appropriate, and we got into a situation where we spent too much.
This is Canada's federal debt. From 1867 to 1992, we owed $423 billion. However, 91% of this debt is the result of interest on interest. And only 8% of the money was actually used on real things, like goods and services. But now we have to pay back over 10 times what we needed, simply because we borrowed from private banks instead of ourselves. So where do these private banks get their billions of dollars from that they lend out? Nowhere! They just write down a number on a piece of paper and lend it out as if it was money to families trying to put a roof over their heads, students trying to get an education, or governments looking to improve the country. Banks then get paid multiple times back with your hard work. Every time they issue a loan, they are creating brand new money. It never existed before you walked into the bank.
So pretty much like you say, I go into a bank, I say, well, can I have $10,000 to pay for my college? They say, sure, here, let me just go run this off the machine, and then you can pay us back with your hard-earned money.
Right. That's exactly it.
That's pretty crazy.
They just get you to believe that they're lending you what's inside their vaults. But it couldn't be further from the truth.
For instance, banks. Yeah, your banks have the amount of money that they have in reserve. The answer is no.
There's about $50 billion of real cash in Canada. All the private banks combined only have $4 billion in their vaults, or what they call reserves. And yet they've lent out $1.5 trillion, which they then charge interest on.
I think that the amount of money that's held in reserve in Canada, you're right, is pretty low. One of the reasons it's so low is because our banking system is as stable as it is.
Okay. So what would happen if we simply wanted our money back?
we would have a credit crisis, and the system would not be sustainable. So we'd have to reorganize and restructure, which is what happened actually in the Depression. I don't see that happening again.
Yeah.
But theoretically, that's what would happen.
Oh yeah, that sounds like a stable system. So isn't it a little bit fraudulent though if I were to walk into a bank and they give me a receipt I can redeem at any time, but it's only noticed that it would be called fraud if everyone came to the bank and requested their money.
I'm going to answer your question, but then I want to go back to mine.
Okay.
Because it really is, this is the huge change of the last 5 years. It's not fraudulent. It's not fraudulent. Because everybody understands it, but it is.
No one really understands it.
Well, okay, I mean, those who know about it, knew about it, so it was not fraudulent.
I've talked to the teachers and MPs, even MPPs, and they had no idea that there was only $4 billion in the vaults, but over $1 trillion is lent out.
Yeah, let me go back. Well, the fact that they didn't know it, they should have.
But really, no one does.
Well,
should that be involved a little bit more before we start using money? That we should be told where it is, where it comes from?
Well, no.
Okay, so it's one thing to lend out money you just don't have, but how can you charge interest on nothing, and not just any kind of interest?
Compounded interest.
Here's a fun way to explain the difference between regular interest and compounded interest. Imagine lending someone $1 at the time Christ was born, at let's say 6% interest. Ready? Go!
To everything, turn, turn, turn. There is a season, turn, turn, turn. And a time to every purpose under heaven. A time to build up, a time to break down, a time to dance, a time to mourn, a time to cast.
Jesus Christ is right. This is especially scary when you consider that all credit cards, loans, and mortgages are all to be paid back with compounded interest.
If everyone tried to pull out cash and operate in cash, it would not work. It might work for a little while if you have a bunch of cash, but you're going to be left high and dry with your pants down. And this is it's honestly so insane to me that people are actually saying this seriously that I don't even know where to start because it's so stupid. But let me try anyway. I mean, there's that one problem there. Only about 5% of our currency exists as cash. So if everyone tried to pull out their money so that they could operate in cash, 5% of us will get our money. How the fuck is that going to work for you? Not only that, the banks operate on a fractional reserve system through this process, and they have to maintain a certain number. they have to maintain a certain amount of currency in their own reserves. Otherwise, they get into a situation where they're legally committing fraud. Or illegally committing fraud. Because really, we've legalized fraud for these banks. They can lend you money they don't have. And if I tried to do that and charge you interest on money I never had, it would be fraud if I did it. But essentially, our government has legalized it so that they can do it. They can create money from nothing, loan people money that they don't have, and charge interest on it. Compound interest to our government, too. This is not going to protect you. Because what's going to happen is if everyone tried to pull money out, if there was a bank run because people wanted to use cash as a hedge to protect themselves from these digital ID systems, they're just going to close the banks. They'll shut off the ATMs. They have to maintain a certain amount of money in their reserves in order to remain solvent. They will not allow you to withdraw your money. They will never allow that because it'll create an enormous legal problem for them. They will not let you do that. And if that's your plan, you don't have a plan. That's not a plan. Anyone going out there and saying, oh, you're going to defend yourself by sticking to cash and clinging to cash, fiat money is the instrument through which you are enslaved. You're clinging to the chains that they use to enslave you. And really, I really want to address why some people who should know better are saying this. We have to come to the reality that, again, psychological operations require in the modern age influencers who pretend that they are on your side, who then poison your mind with lies.
All poison. How could you call yourself MCs? You ain't poison. Think about the kids you mislead with the poison. And
it's absolutely poison to tell people that cash will protect them from this system. Cash is an instrument of value that has no value of its own. Fiat money is an instrument of exchange that has no intrinsic value. The value that we assign to our currency, it's not backed by anything other than the citizens of the country who back it with their debt, or who back the debt with their labor. These governments are allowed to do this because they use their citizens as collateral. The number of citizens you have, you can guarantee that you'll be able to collect a certain amount of tax from each of those citizens, and that's what enables the banks to loan the money to our governments, because they essentially see, oh, you have all these slaves that you can use to pay the loans off. You're a slave who pays off loans that shouldn't exist. And if you think that the chains that they use to enslave you are going to help you, and when they try to enslave you even harder, like, this is so ass backwards. It's like I said, I don't even know where to start with you people, because that's so fucking stupid that, honestly, do you have a brain of your own at all? Because that's the dumbest shit I've ever heard in my life. And I genuinely think we need to start attacking anyone who's saying this, because that's so dangerously stupid that there's no way that you're actually trying to help people. If you were actually trying to help people, I know there's a lot of people who don't like cryptocurrency. Gold and silver will actually have and maintain their value in the situation where this gets forced on us. If you don't want to recommend crypto to people, gold and silver, why would you recommend cash? You're a snake. Anyone saying, hold on to your cash, we need to hold on to cash, these people are snakes, or they're stupid. I know there's a lot of stupid people who have not thought this through. They don't understand how our banking system works, where our money comes from. And they like using cash. But you know what? That system is doomed to fail. Cash is only going to lose its value. And if you try to preserve your wealth by storing it in cash, it's just going to evaporate. Like, that's how our money works. Like, look how much value our dollar has lost in the last 5 years. And that's going to continue to happen as a result of the inflationary practice of borrowing money and then paying compound interest on it. So the debt-based system where they loan debt into existence, and there's so many snakes in this world, people like Pierre Poilievre and the Conservative Party, always misrepresents our borrowing as money printing, and it gives people this false impression that they're printing money. That's not how it works. They're loaning debt into existence. It's not money creation. They're creating debt. They're issuing credit into the system. They're not printing money and spending it into existence. That's an absolute lie. And it's an intentional lie so that you think along those lines. You think that there's going to be all the money is in the bank when you go to take it out. It's not how it works. Nuh-uh. So, I mean, really, I really truly believe a lot of the influencers that are saying this are controlled opposition, who are there to poison the minds of people so that when the time comes, they're fucked. And you got to learn to read between the lines here. You got to understand where our money comes from and how the whole collapse of that traditional fiat system is all but a certainty, that they're going to try to replace our existing fiat system with stable coins and other bullshit systems that are really just going to be backdoor CBDCs. And really, like, you need to get onto private crypto, or, I mean, you need to get into the crypto game, or you need to use gold and silver as a way to hedge against that. But even then, You got to understand technology. Like, we live in a technological age. Gold and silver might protect your wealth, but it's very hard to transact in gold and silver. Try buying something online with gold or silver. How many times do you buy something online? How long is this going to work for you? You got to be careful who you're listening to, because a lot of these people are untrustworthy snakes who are intentionally poisoning your mind so that when the time comes, you're totally fucked. I can't emphasize this enough. There's so many people out there saying this now. Oh, we need cash. Hang on to cash. Like, we can't give up cash and move to a cashless society. Crypto is hard money. I mean, if you have a good blockchain that is supposed to function in a particular way and it can actually scale to function as cash, like BSV, that's sound money. It has the principles of sound money. That's really the inspiration for it. Fiat currency is just a completely centralized control system where bankers hold all the power and operate through our government to pretty much just screw everyone. So, I mean, anyone recommending cash, they're either a snake or they're too stupid or they haven't really thought this through. I've been thinking about this for a long time. I had to make a video to address this because, I mean, I'll probably make a follow-up video to this as well. I didn't really plan to make this video today. It was just so disturbing to me that so many people are recommending, oh, cash is going to be our savior. No way. You don't understand anything if you believe that. So, I mean, I want to post this to a lot of people who've been recommending that cash is going to be the way that you resist this. And like, some of the people saying this, I'm sorry, I will never ever trust you again. You lost all credibility by telling people to store cash as a way to protect themselves. That will not protect them. That'll leave them with their pants down and their ass up when the time comes. Now, I really can't emphasize this enough. The only thing that gives cash its value is that our government recognizes it as legal tender, as a medium of exchange, and that they restrict that you can only use it as a medium of exchange, more or less. And the moment that they say that you can't use cash, the people who try to operate in cash, good luck finding other people who will do that with you, because most people don't have cash. They don't have all of their money that they have saved up under their mattress in cash. They have it in a bank, and it's only stored in a digital form on a bank ledger. So really, you haven't thought about this at all if you think that cash is going to help you. And the moment that the government says that you can't transact in cash, even if you want to, do you know how stupid that is? Cash has no value of its own. At least if you had gold or silver, you could have an instrument of value that will maintain its value throughout that transition period. I mean, if you're really not into crypto and you really don't want to devote the time to understanding it, I can completely understand that. It took me a long time to understand it myself. And if you want some way of protecting your wealth or being able to transact outside of a CBDC or operate outside of a digital ID system that's set up by our government, cash is going to be the worst place for you to try to protect your wealth. It's going to be the absolute last thing you're going to want to hold in those circumstances. Don't listen to these people. They are leading you astray, and some of them are almost certainly wolves in sheep's clothing, and the other ones are just very foolish people who don't know how our system works, don't know where cash comes from, don't know where our debt comes from, and they haven't been thinking about this long enough to have really thought that through. Really, I think people need to ask themselves why so many people like Whitney Webb are constantly harping about all of the dangers of digital ID and all of the horrible things that our government is planning to do to us without offering any solutions whatsoever. Kind of just feels like they're preparing you for a fate that you don't really want, and kind of really emphasizing that this is going to happen to you and putting it in your mind that that's what's going to happen without offering any alternative. A lot of these people are snakes.